Hello, welcome back to an emergency session of Faults Remastered. Yeah, I got my game starting soon, as I've talked about a little bit in the last few weeks, as I've taken this journey and shared it with you of converting an old 5th edition homebrewed game known as the Vaults into a Pathfinder 2nd edition version, and restarting the game this month here in December now that I've got the remastered rules, and I'm in the process of remastering, retooling a bunch of my homebrewed stuff, and I've been working on some ancestries. Well, one of the ones that I don't have hardly anything created for, either pre-remaster, post-remaster from my old 5e D&D game. This was really just a concept race that I hadn't really fleshed out at all. And so here I am, and guess what? One of my players is wanting a Xulgath as their ancestry. Hey, what's a Xulgath? Well, Xulgath would be Pathfinder's troglodytes, but the way I'm conceiving of them is they are the lizard folk of my subterranean darklands underdark world. So I'm using some troglodyte lizard folk inspirations as the foundation. But Zolgath is an actual monstrous race within the Pathfinder lore, Pathfinder world. So that's kind of the good news is there's a lot out there that is specific to Pathfinder already that I don't need to convert. It's in their system already. But I do need to create this ancestry. So that is my emergency. That's my problem because tomorrow, in about 24 hours from now, I'm going to be meeting with players to do a little session zero, a little bit of character creation, and the player that is wanting to play a Zolgath is going to be there. And I got Jack for a Zolgath, so I'm gonna do a speed run, hopefully, of a Zolgath. I figured, hey, why not record this? How do you go from nothing to something in less than 24 hours? And an entire ancestry at that. So that's what this episode is gonna be about. Zolgath, stank of the earth. That's because their stank is their number one feature. So let's take a look. What do I have for this ancestry? Well, if we take a look at my 5th edition game, I had a list of all my possible races that players could play, and my Zulgath was one of the last ones on the list. And as you'll notice, it said under construction. So I was not yet fully complete with it. I did have these concepts here, had a couple of representative images to go by. And that's where I left it. And I did kind of fill in a couple things as I was putting this together a little bit earlier so far. But here's what I've got. These creatures, as I mentioned, they're like the lizard folk type. So I think I can use that because I'm pretty sure Pathfinder does have a lizard folk ancestry already in game. So I'm going to be able to use that. Um, and then I have a bunch of the Zulgath, monster stuff I can use. But what I think is they're going to have really high constitution because they need to survive their own stink. They need to be able to just eat all kinds of nasty stuff down in the Darklands. And then maybe wisdom might be the other thing. That's why I got to see what Kathy comes up with this. Alignment's not a thing really anymore. Don't need to worry about that. Medium-sized creature. Base walking speed D&D was 30 feet, so that'll probably translate into 25 feet in Pathfinder. They did have a natural weapon attack. They did have claws. So that could be definitely something that I would incorporate into this ancestry. Perhaps they have, as an action, they can take a claw swipe or a tail slam or something like that. Some sort of natural weapon. I don't know how that works in Pathfinder, so I might have to go and see, take a look at some of the other ancestries out there and see if any of them have a one of their just stock abilities being some sort of natural bites or claw or something like that. Then the one first signature ability they would have would be the chameleon skin. This is one of the things that Zulgath were noted for, and that is the ability to change the color of their scales, their hide, and hide with them. So that would definitely be a signature move in the Xulgath for Pathfinder. They're going to have some sort of bonus to stealth or hiding or something. They are going to have low light vision, if not straight up dark vision. What I think I'm leaning towards as I work on these more is I mentioned this in my Ganesio video from earlier this week that most of my ancestries in my game World of Vaults, this Darklands analog, they're going to be right out of the box. They're all going to have low light vision. Some are going to have dark vision straight up. So that's not a feature for any of my ancestries. That's just the normal. But the bright light sensitivity, as I was thinking about this, a lot of my D&D versions of the homebrewed races did have bright light sensitivity. I think I might translate that over to Pathfinder with a simple rule that if your ancestry has low light vision, you're fine. You can get exposed to bright light and not, freak out. But if you have dark vision as like your native natural visual acuity, then I think you by default would have bright light sensitivity. So I think I need to go and revise that into all of my ancestries I've created thus far. But anyway, just thinking out loud a little bit because that was definitely a thing with these Xulgaths. So they are used to very low light, or if not, just complete darkness. I'll have to think about that some more. And then their other signature ability is this stench, the stink. So I would say there are two main things that separate them from any other species out there is their ability to blend in like a chameleon, change their color, and the stench. And the way the stench is kind of like, skunk. They would have stinky glands that would emit a foul smelling odor that would repulse people, make you sick, poison you. And a lot of these Xulgath monsters, they have different variations of this. So I see this as probably going to be not just one of their main signature special abilities, but probably will be central to their heritages as well. The different types of stink you have, or the abilities to use stink. Or it'll be a good source for feat variation, where everybody's got a stink, and then you can choose different feats to give you a different type of stink or a variation of your stink. So the stinkity stank is their main thing. Chameleon skin and then some natural weaponry, some low light vision. I think that's going to be the big three things that these guys are going to have in this remaster. All right, so I have that, right? That's a starting point, at least a concept. Then I go and take a look at, started putting this together here. Switch this over. Back over here. So if you take a look, I have this so far. So here's my D&D stuff I just was talking about. I've already pared it down. And then I have the basic description for these guys. This is their theme, creature-wise. Reptilian troglodytes, a devolved form of the dragonborn. So in the game world, the dragonborn, the gem dragonborns, or is what I'm calling them, the facet worm seed, which would tie into Pathfinder's crystal dragons. And they come in different gem types of varieties. These facet worm seed were a big, powerful ancient kingdom in underneath the surface of the earth. So you had like your gem dragons down there. You had like your metallics and chromatics would have been up on the surface world. But anyway, these guys, they would be some devolved form of dragonborn that creates a conflict between those two species. Generally speaking, they're brutal tribesmen, probably nomadic, scouring the vaults for resources. They believe in 100-on-1 odds type of thing. They're very keen to mysticism and shamanic superstition. So they got all kinds of weird beliefs and taboos and, signs of omens and superstitious belief system. So that's going to be an interesting religion for these guys because they're very manipulatable. I think that's a word. Manipulatable, whatever. Anyway, so that's kind of my concept walking in. Then I went on the old Google machine and pulled up Pathfinder's lore for Xulgaths from a wiki, and I got lots of information about their appearance. How they had gray, scaly hides, their skinny bodies. So I'm envisioning them as subterranean lizard folk, cave dwellers, kind of almost dinosaurish. Ecology, talking about them living. Let's see, they say long exposure to the radiation of the Black Desert has permanently warped Xulgath physiology. Their mutation. So I think Xulgath, maybe in Pathfinder, are not necessarily just subterranean. Oh wait, the Black Desert. Yeah. Okay, I take it back. The Black Desert is not a surface desert. It's a desert of like black obsidian glass. I don't know why I'm wearing my headphones. I'm not even listening to them. Black desert is like a black, glassy, sandy, subterranean desert. And it's been blistered by blight burn, by radiation. So for me, that would be warp stone, warp fire. All right, so they've been blistered. So maybe these worm seed, these dragonborn, were in an area of the game world. So I do have mention of the Black Desert or the Desert of Black Sands, or whatever I was calling it, in my game world, which is taken from Pathfinder's concept. So maybe a group of Dragonborn used to live out and maybe used to be more of a lush fungal fields or something, and it got nuked in some battle that the Dragonborn were waging with perhaps the Stone folk, because that would be part of their ancient lore, where they were battling against the combined might of the Ganesha, the Oread, and the Durgar, who were called the Droog, the three stone races, against the Dragonborn, which are now called Wormseed. So that could be some sort of ancient battlefield that just blistered that area, and then the survivors, they got mutated from the radiation and devolved into Xulgath. I like that idea. I think that could work. So I need to pop that in here. They are survivors of a war with the stone people who nuked the dragonborn that lived in a lush fungal field, whatever, prairie, lush fungal prairie. Survivors of a war with the stone people who nuked the dragonborn that lived in a lush fungal prairie. The radiation destroyed their homes and environment. This caused the drastic de-evolution of those Dragonborn into Xulgath. Right? That sounds pretty cool. So I'll kind of throw that in there as a little side note. All right, so that's cool. That'll tie into my game world. History, I've got stuff about their history. This is gonna be Galarian history, so I just put in some of my own stuff, but I can adapt this. One of the oldest civilizations of kind of, I guess, should I use my world? Let's call it the vaults. Just kind of throw that in there. I don't think I need to change any of the others. Well, the vaults and the darklands are equivalent, so wherever you see the word darklands, I would replace with vaults. And so maybe I need to use, I don't know if they'd be one of the oldest civilizations on my planet. I think my planet, I was usually just calling it Tierek. Well, that really doesn't roll off the tongue too well. So anyway, we'll do something like that. We'll throw that in there for now. See, none of this stuff makes any sense to my world. In one AR, Eridan came to Vass. Yeah. None of that makes anything makes sense at all. So a lot of this would need to be revised. I'll leave it in for now because it's not going to be super critical, but I can go back in and change names as needed. Habitat, Narvoth, I believe, is the upper levels of the Darklands. I just refer to them as the shallows. So the vaults have the shallows, and they've got the mids, and they got the deeps, which is the equivalent of Narvoth, Nikima, and Orv, I think are the three layers of the Darklands. I mean, I basically ripped off that idea from Pathfinder when I made my world anyway. I thought it was pretty cool that there's different levels, different layers. That's something that D&D's, to my knowledge, the Underdark doesn't do. Society, they worship at an altar. I think of bones. They're into effigies of life made of flesh, sinew, bone, um, etc. So, like the fallen parts and weapons and armor of defeated foes. So they build altar statues, effigies of their conquered. I kind of think they're also going to have a consume your enemy's body parts to gain power type of superstition. Put that in here too. They have a eat your victims and gain their power or control over their soul's belief system. I don't know what that's called in the real world. Dang British English. I don't know if I need to take any more of this stuff. Just doing a quick run through. Then I like this. They have lots of breakdown of the Xulgath into thought maws, deep mouths. This is kind of where I'm going to get my heritages from. So they already have different creature types, which is one of the things I really like about Pathfinder, and why when I was playing my 5e game, I would raid the Pathfinder bestiaries all the time because their monsters were just built this way. You had a class of monster and it had all kinds of different subtypes. And D&D used to do that. I don't know if you're only a 5e baby and that's all you've ever played, you have no idea. D&D 4e, 3e, the older versions used to have multiple levels of, monster in the same category, but it would be, different types of, there was orcs, and there's like 10 different types of orc. Anyways, I digress. But Pathfinder still has that, so I'm just kind of glanced through. I'm gonna be able to use a lot of this for the heritages. That's what I like. Talking about Orvian Vault. They're giving me some names of some locations. Deep Tolguth. So this could give me some information about their society as far as cities that I could use. Some place called Gluttondark. So maybe that is a different vault, even lower. That could be interesting. And I like this idea. They're summoning fiendish dinosaurs. So picture dinosaurs in the Underdark or the Darklands. What would that look like? That's actually kind of where I got my cover art here. So I did a quick workup with Sal Dolly, the AI art system, and I got him to generate some images of what I'm envisioning Xulgath. So they're kind of these more, reptilian, dinosaur-y maybe looking creatures. But check this out, this huge monstrosity. So Sal kept putting big old dino looking things in there, and at first I'm like, why is he doing that? And I just, well, whatever. This is some deity they worship. But now that I'm reading this, it's almost serendipity here that they're living or they're worshiping these creatures, these summoned fiendish dinosaurs from Gluttondark. Demons, so it has some demonic influences. Slaugrox, hideous half fiends. So maybe there's something there. Maybe they're breeding in the deeper parts, and it's demonish because they're closer to the heated core. So, because I don't see like the planes of existence in my game world, they're actual worlds or locations. So I could see there maybe being portals from the abyss world, the demon world, that enters the deeper parts of the vaults game. So because that's where the fiery heat is. So their home world is like a blasted, furnace, and so when they travel here to this world, they go to where it's the hottest. So they're able to come into like the core part of the game world. So maybe this is where Gluttondark is kind of located. That's an interesting idea. And maybe got even more reptilian type of as a heritage. Or types that are like partial demons or just really heat loving types. Maybe kind of almost like, oh, I was just had this idea too, kind of almost like Godzilla E types where they were so exposed to that radiation in the black sands that they're able to maybe spray radioactive warp fire or something like that. Like Godzilla, how he lights up his spines and just unleashing. Anyway, there's some cool stuff here, guys. Thank you, Paizo. They also give information about deities. Zevgazevabababa. I don't know who that is. I have to go see if that's in the. Are these? I bet these are in the Gods and Magic book, right? Because they're also talking about the Clippeth lords. The Clippeth are those like those kind of like fishy looking ones or something like that, or maybe they're like the pinhead ones. I forget. I got to go look that up too. Anyway, they're giving me some thoughts here about deities, entities, because that's the other thing that when a player wants to play a different ancestor or something, I want to have this cultural stuff that they would be aware of. So that then puts some more pressure, but also fun on me because now I'm seeing I'm going to need to create me some different primordials here. I've only really talked about my one primordial, Kavarka, and I did a series about him. So if you haven't seen that, you can go check it out. Uh, it's Radiant Lord, this gemstone elemental. But there's a lot of other primordials down in my game world. There's like probably 2 dozen easily. The primordials are the deities, the entities that give the power to the divine classes. So anyway, I've got some names here. I can look into this because maybe I can come up with some primordial stuff or some, alien demon sort of things. That could work. Languages on Galarian. So this might not make any difference to my Marshworth. Can be found in the caves and tunnels, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. Got a bunch of reference numbers here. I don't think any of this stuff is really going to be useful. So I might just delete this whole paragraph before I bother putting this in with Kathy. Yeah, this is all, mostly this is references to Pathfinder stuff. Although a couple of these I do have a couple of these in my game world. So maybe I'll leave them because I can always, reskin this for later. So I'll leave it, right? I don't have anything to replace it with right now, so it doesn't really matter. All right, so we got kind of the geography stuff. And then here's what I'm saying, the variants. Could can be used as heritages. Bile bearer, gut ragers, blood leakers, gore guts, slogrock, spine snappers, stone liege, the thought maw, the twin skulls sounds freaking cool. Twin skulls is the Xulgath term for conjoined twins. Those who live to adulthood are typically become devourers or hard scales due to the Xulgath belief that they are blessed by Zevgavibzeb, but may be branded as being marked by Abraxas, a patron of Xulgath's drow enemies, by superstitious clutch members, or deep mouths jealous of their influence. So this would be cool. Like you're like a conjoined twin variant. That would be freaky. Have fun role playing that one, right? Telling yourself to shut up. That could be fun. So lots of cool stuff here. I mean, check this out. Lots and lots of lore. This is what I love, dude. I'm taking raw lore and my own concepts for my Xulgath. And I have a lot of ideas already in my brain about my game world and how this could fit. And here's where this is all right. So here's where you need the magic of Kathy. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna feed this to Chatty Kathy, my AI muse, ChatGPT, and I'm going to ask her to design the Xulgath ancestry following my template. The template here is following pretty much Pathfinder's template for ancestry. So there's going to be an overview section which summarizes the history and origin of the ancestry. We're then going to have mannerisms and perceptions. So these are the three behaviors or traits that you might possess or probably would possess, and then the three traits that others would probably believe or see in you. Your physical description, your society information, your beliefs, religion, deities, edicts, anathemas, your naming conventions and systems, some sample names, and then a stat block, or mechanics might be the other way of saying it. Mechanics, stats, rarity, hit points, size, speed, ability boosts, ability flaw, languages, traits, and then three different abilities that is unique to this particular ancestry. I already know stank is one, camouflage is two, and then probably the type of vision they've got, the dark vision or low light vision. We'll have to decide on that one. But if you do get dark vision, you're going to get the bright light susceptibility. Okay, so that's the plan. I'm going to go, yo, Kathy, I need you to create a template for a ancestry for a brand new Xulgath creature. Here is my original D&D version vision. Here is the Pathfinder lore. Here is the template, the format I want you to put it in when you're done. Go. All right, that's the plan. Let me go ahead, pause the vid for a minute, and put all that stuff in Chatty Cathy, and then we'll see what she comes up with. Be right back. Okay, I think I'm ready. So I've plugged in my initial prompt. So here's what I'm telling her. I said, hello, I need your help designing a unique ancestry for a homebrew fantasy TTRPG called The Vaults of the Under-Earth. That's my official title. That uses Pathfinder 2e rules and mechanics. Now, if you're asking yourself why you started so basic, like what's up? This is a brand new conversation with Kathy. All my other previous conversations I've had with her about this game world and ancestries and everything else is not here. She has no basis to say anything, okay? Because I'm starting a brand new conversation. This is the drawback with ChatGPT. Unlike if you and I were to have a conversation about my game world, we could come back to it in a few months from now and go, "Oh, you remember the? Oh yeah, I remember." she has no memory outside of the immediate conversation. So even though I've had dozens of conversations with her, every time I start a new one with a new file, pretty much, I have to re-establish the baseline because otherwise she doesn't know what I'm talking about. So here we go. Hey, it's a TTRPG, the vaults, Pathfinder rules. I need an ancestry. Ready? Then I go on to say, hey, this ancestry is called Xulgath, which is a monster that already exists in Pathfinder. However, the original version was based on Underdark D&D lizard folk. Can I provide you the original version stats and the Pathfinder lore along with an ancestry template to help your creation and formatting? So I'm priming the pump. Click. Absolutely. I'd be delighted to help you design a unique ancestry for your homebrew fantasy TTRPG based on the Xulgath. Please feel free to provide the original version, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Once I have the information, I can help you draft the ancestry. All right, so sounds like she's ready. So I'm going to go ahead and take the stuff I was just showing you, the D&D and the Pathfinder information. So let me copy that and then I'll shove it over there. Dude, this is a huge bunch of stuff. I mean, this is 5 pages. I'll tell you, when I first started doing this, with just ChatGPT 3.35, yeah, you wouldn't do this. It's just too much. TMI. But ChatGPT 4 seems much more able to handle it. All right, so here we go. Paste that in there. Powsy. Just clarify. Here are the D&D base stats. So give her this. Con +2 and strength. I think I was doing +1. Everything else I think is fine. Stench, languages. Oh, I did add a couple little things. I was thinking about pheromones. Anyway, then here's the Pathfinder lore. And here is the Pathfinder lore. So I did make a couple of tweaks off camera. Not super critical. All right, there's the Pathfinder lore. Should I give her the template? Yeah, I got to do the template too. It's a lot. And finally, here is the ancestry template I need you to use to organize your thoughts and format your creation to match PF2E structure. All right, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to go grab the ancestry template I have, which is over here. Take this and this. Copy that. Come over here. Slappy Pappy. Bang. Let's cross our fingers. Thank you for providing such detailed information based on the D&D stats, Pathfinder lore, and the ancestry template you shared. Let's create a unique ancestry for the Xulgath in your vaults of the Under-Earth TTRPG. I'll structure the ancestry to align with Pathfinder 2E mechanics and incorporate the lore and characteristics you've described. Damn, she's already going for it. Overview. Descendants of a once advanced civilization, Xulgaths are reptilian humanoids who have devolved due to a cataclysmic event. So yeah, that previous advanced civilization would have been the dragonborn, these worm seed. They were originally dragonborn who, after a war and subsequent exposure to radiation, warp fire, underwent drastic physical and societal changes. These survivors now inhabit the vaults, clinging to remnants of their past glory and adapting to their harsh new world. Mannerisms and perceptions. You might rely on brute force and primal instincts over complex strategy. Show a keen interest in mysticism and shamanic practices. Communicate using a mix of broken draconic dialect, undercommon, and pheromone signals. This is a little bit too literal. The mannerisms perception should be more, what you think of yourself, not that you talk funny. So the first two are okay. The third one, it's weak sauce. Others probably perceive Xulgaths as barbaric and aggressive due to their brutal survival methods. Respect or fear their natural abilities and mystic connections. Find their social structure and beliefs aliens and often disturbing. That's funny. I would like to have like, one glow and one grow in here, right? I'd like to have one positive. Others probably would come to you for maybe they want to learn about how to survive in the harshest of conditions. So they look to you for, study you or ask you questions. That could be a positive. Physical description. Xulgaths have dull gray, scaly hides, skinny bodies, lizard-like head with bony ridges along the spine. I might need to tweak this because I kind of like the lizard folk more beefy, at least some of them, a little bit more beefy rather than scrawny, gross ones. 5 feet tall, buck 50, hunch stance. Yeah, so I might update this just because based upon that picture, right? If I go back to that picture, I mean, check out those husky fellows in the foreground, right? That's a little more interesting than scrawny boys. Anyway, society. Xulgaths live in clutches, varying in size, struggling for resources in the vaults. They exhibit a fierce and often violent social structure where strength and dominance determine leadership. Their civilization, once grand, now survives in fragments, with clutches often raiding each other or external threats for resources dominance. Yeah, I did have Xulgath pretty active in my D&D game world, and there was definitely some raiding going on and definitely different clutches. They had allied with some Slod, and they were like the blue ones and the red ones, and they were like, you know, street gangs and stuff like that, running through these ruins of the vault that they were in. Beliefs, religion of deities. They worship a demon lord, Zevgavebeb. Some clutches turning to other demon or clippeth lords. A few reject these beliefs for the green faith or their own strengths. That's sort of like a druidic belief, I think. That really wouldn't fit too well down here because there's no green. Edicts and anathemas. Strength and dominance are revered. Weakness and cooperation with perceived enemies are frowned upon. Yeah, that's for sure. Xulgath names. That's cool. Give me some Xulgath names. All right, let's check out the stats here. Uncommon, 8 HPs. Medium, 25. Con, 2. Strength, 1. 1 free. So boosting con strength and a freebie. Intelligence is their flaw. I can agree with that. Might be wisdom instead of strength. I kind of see them just sort of like savage survivalists. So I think that's probably wisdom instead. Undercommon, broken, draconic, additional possible. Humanoid, reptilian. I don't think that's a trait in. Probably be draconic. Would be the trait. Abilities. Chameleon skin. Xulgath have an innate ability to blend in with surroundings. Stealth checks, yeah. Need to get defined mechanics here. Stench. Noxious cloud. Once a short rest. That's a D&D term, so we need to put this in Pathfinder language. So it'd have to be like maybe it's like a multiple action ability, right? One action you just have like a greasy stink on you if somebody touches you or you touch them, it can transfer. But then you can go 2 actions for a cloud, 3 actions you can just spew it maybe, or just burst like a big old, flatulent explosion. That could be interesting. A multiple action stank. Low light vision, subterranean adaptation, enhanced vision. Yeah, I don't have a fight with that one. This ancestry should provide a unique and flavorful addition to your TTRPG, blending the lore and characteristics of the Xulgath with the mechanics of Pathfinder 2E. All right. So I got a bunch here to work with. It's still not enough to really get going. Here's something else I need. I need some heritages. Let's see. Can you propose 6 distinct heritages for this ancestry? Are you familiar with the concept of heritages in Pathfinder 2E? Let's start with that question first before I ask for specific, because sometimes she'll lie. Like if you go, hey, can you do something? And wait, do you know how to do it? Oh, yeah, I know how to do it. All right, let's do this. I feel with the concept of heritages. Heritage is a key component of character creation development. They represent more specific lineages or backgrounds within a broader ancestry. You also select heritage. Now, if she's really clever, she's going to just automatically know what I'm going to ask her and give me heritages, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, look at this. She's freaking doing it. For the Xulgath ancestry, so see, she's starting to think what she's already knows what I was going to ask. I thought she was going to give me all six, though. For the Xulgath ancestry, you could create unique heritages that reflect the various adaptations and mutations of Xulgath that have developed in response to their environment and history. These heritages could offer distinct abilities, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and ask her now. Can you propose 6 distinct heritages for the Xulgath? And for each, could you suggest a level 1 ability, such as dark vision? Let's see what she comes up with. Certainly, here are 6. The Deep Dweller. These Zolgaths have adapted to the deepest, darkest parts. And level 1, let me guess, dark vision. Yep. Alright, so dark vision. I asked for it, I guess I got it. Then you got the Sporeborn. Born in fungal-rich areas, Sporeborn have a symbiotic relationship with certain benign fungi. Spore resistance. They have resistance to poison, advantage on saving throws. That's a D&D terminology. So I gotta have it do Pathfinder. Stonehide. Unusually tough stone-like skin, mutation developed from living in mineral-rich environments. Okay, so it's definitely leaning into the environmental exposures. Stonehide have natural AC bonus. So that needs to be mechanically spelled out. Echolocator Xulgath. I wasn't thinking of these at all. I was thinking the Bile Bearer, the Thought Maw, the Gut Ripper, whatever. Now, I could force her to give me heritages like those, or I can use those Pathfinder creature variations as feats. Like you can become a bile bearer. If you pick a certain feat, you could start, being able to spew your stench around. So I could do it that way. Let's see what these sound. These sound kind of geological, ecological. So we've got the echolocator. That's like a bat, right? Adapted to navigate the winding pitch black tunnels. These Zolgaths have a form of echolocation. All right. Basic blind sense. All right. Feral hunter. They're known for their heightened predatory instincts and agility honed through constant hunting. They have an increased speed, moving faster, so it'd be like a +5 speed bonus. Mystic Seer. They're born with latent connection to the mystic energies of the vaults, giving them unique sensory perceptions. Mystic Seer could sense the presence of magic within a short radius, function as passive detect magic. All right. I'm not excited by these per se. They're kind of standard. I'm gonna challenge you. I mean, they're okay. You could use these, right? I'm just gonna point at blank teller. I'm not thrilled with some of your suggestions because they are rather uninspired. No offense. No offense. I know you can do better and offer more creative suggestions. I'm talking about you blowing my mind. Any ideas? Let's just throw it out there. See what she comes up with. I want to see if I just say, yo, because sometimes this works. When you challenge her, say, nah, not so good. Go again. She'll knock it out. Let's see if I'm right. I appreciate your feedback, the opportunity to delve deeper into creative and unique heritages for the Xulgath. Let's aim for more inventive and thematically rich options. Yes, thank you. So the obsidian shard. These Xulgaths have grown rare obsidian-like scales, reflecting their deep connection to volcanic forces. When struck in combat, their blood reacts like molten rock, potentially causing minor fire damage. Okay. Rune carved. Born near ancient ruins, their bodies naturally marked with glowing runic patterns, imbued with arcane energy. Okay, that's pushing it a little bit. See, now if this was a mystical thing, like superstitious-y stuff, then this could work. So I could challenge her with that one. Let's see if she comes up with anything else like that. Chasm Leaper, Whispering Shade, Crystal Born, Fungal Mind. All right, check this out. So I kind of like where she's going here, right? Rune carved. Um, what if the rune carved was more geared toward the mystical, superstitious aspects of Xulgath? Perhaps some occult energy or power instead of arcane runes? Question mark. Let's see. I'm going to push her. That's a fantastic direction to make the rune carved Xulgath, emphasizing their mystical, superstitious nature. Let's reframe this heritage to focus more on occult energies. Rune carved Xulgath heritage description. Born in areas saturated with occult energies, these Xulgaths have bodies naturally marked with enigmatic runes. These runes are not just physical markings, but are deeply entwined with the very essence of occult power that permeates the vaults, and markings pulse with an eerie light. Rune of Insight, Rune of Protection. Man, it's still going two runes. Two runey. Okay. Okay. We're going too far into the runes side. I was thinking more mystical, like spirits. Maybe the markings are birthmarks that are seen as omens. Maybe they are signs of being touched by their demonic lord gods. Let's see what she can do with that. Understood. Let's shift the focus away from runes and towards a more mystical, spirit-oriented approach, with the markings being seen as omens or signs of being touched by demonic gods. Spirit-touched Xulgath. Heritage description. These Xulgath bear unique birthmarks that are revered as sacred omens, believed to be signs of direct favor or influence from their demonic deities. The patterns resemble cryptic symbols or ancient script pulsating with otherworldly energy. Their presence is often associated with mystical experiences and a deeper connection to the spirit world. Level 1 ability. I don't know why it's giving me so many abilities, though, all right? Heritage should only have one. I'll have to correct her on that. But again, here, this isn't lost. I could pick one of these, right? I could say, oh, you get demonic resilience, which gives you damage resistance as your level 1 ability for taking this spirit touched or demon touched or whatever. And then these other two could be turned into heritage feats. So feats that you can pick later as long as you are of this particular heritage. Spirit touched. Yeah, okay, so I think she's getting in the right direction now. All right, so this is what I'm talking about with the back and forth. If you've seen my other videos where I've talked about working with Kathy and I talk about a back and forth, this is what I'm saying. She's given me something that I'm like, yeah, not bad. It's a little interesting. Like the obsidian shard sounds interesting. Kind of I think like this is almost like explosive reactive armor type of thing. That's cool, right? The rune carve though, I'm like, yeah, I've seen enough rune carve stuff. And why would these guys have runes? Oh, because they were living near ancient ruins. Like what? No. What if it was like the handprint of, Sauron. What does the eyes? Anyway, so birthmarks, but were actually like the handprints of demons or something like that. And these were seen as signs. Maybe they were just birthmarks. But forget the runes, right? Let's get into like spirit stuff. I want these guys should be like witch doctory shamanic crap. All right, what else do we got? The Chaos Chasm Leaper. Evolved in the vast chasms of the vaults, these Xulgaths have powerful hind legs, allowing extraordinary leaps. They can perform a massive leap covering great distances. All right, that's, that could work. Could be like, you can use one action to make a vertical leap 15 feet or something like that from a stand, or if you get a running, you can jump higher or further. Whispering Shade. These Zolgaths have adapted to the silent and eerie areas of the vaults, becoming almost ghost-like. They can blend into shadows, becoming nearly invisible, low light, blah, 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 yada, yada. This is one thing she always gives, like, the stealthy one. This is almost scripted. Let's give the stealthy one. Let's give the one that has magic power. Let's give the one that's the killer. And she'll do this repeatedly. So if you kind of just fall into this, each heritage will have the same 6 basic stereotypes. So that's not a good, sorry, I bumped my mic. That's not a good recipe. So I want her to be more creative. Crystalborn, reflecting light. Like no. So Crystalborn's got to go. Whispering Shade, maybe you could do something with this if you put it more on the spirit side of things. I really think they definitely need to get into the spiritual side, the mystical side. Like these guys should have some weird voodoo kind of stuff. Um, let's try this. Can you inject a voodoo vibe into the Whispering Shade heritage? See if she knows what I'm trying to get at there. So yeah, the Crystalborn, that's just trash. I mean, I've got enough shiny crystally stuff. I want these guys are freaking savages. There should be something savagey. Whispering Shade Zolgaths, voodoo inspired, influenced by the mysterious and spiritual energies of the vaults, have developed a connection to the ancient mystical voodoo practice. Okay, don't be literal, Kathy. Their ghost-like movements and eerie presence are accentuated by rituals. I'm almost thinking, what if it's Ancestor? I'm thinking more Ancestor. More like Ancestor type voodoo. Yeah, I don't know if that'll help her. Spirit Walk. Oh, it does have ancestral guidance. Okay. Emphasize deep connection, ancestral spirits, and like if they could summon, like maybe they're like summoners and they can bring spirits, their Eilons and stuff. But they have an innate summoning ability. All right, so ancestral spirit Zolgaths are deeply connected to their lineage and the spirits of their forebears. They bear subtle yet distinctive markings on their skin, resembling ancestral patterns. I think that's something else. These Zolgath all should have distinctive patterns for their heritages, camouflage patterns or whatever, because they're that chameleon ability. These Zolgaths are revered as living bridges between the present and the ancestral realm, embodying wisdom, strength, and traditions of their lineage. Ancestors whispers, blah, blah, blah. All right, you know, it's not bad. It's not bad. The crystal one's got to go. Faux show. And what's with this fungal mind? Fungal spores have integrated into the biology, giving them a unique symbiotic. Again, I mean, maybe, but I kind of have that in other stuff. I mean, she's really got to give me something more. Just something. Yeah, I'm just gonna tell her straight up. I do not like the crystal born or fungal mind, as they are rather cliched in this game world, with other ancestries having similar abilities. Can you push your imagination to the limit with a couple new suggestions? These Xulgath are savages, are mystical, superstitious savages, de-evolved from once noble dragonborn. They have been blasted and blistered by radiation in the depths of the earth. They eat charred meat with raw centers. They build effigies from the body parts and trophy weapons of fallen enemies. They have an unholy stink they exude from secretions that would make a billy goat puke. They can blend into the cavern walls with their color shifting scales. They have Godzilla looking spines and tails, and heck, some of them might even spit radioactive fire. Looking to be wowed. Go. All right, I just threw down the gauntlet on her behind. What does she have to say for herself? Thank you for the vivid description and the challenge to push the boundaries of creativity, given the mystical, superstitious, savage nature, along with the dramatic de-evolution to do things. The Blightborn Xulgath. Blightborn are a fearsome sight, their bodies marked with glowing, radiation-infused scars that tell a tale of survival and adaptation in the harshest environments of the vaults. These Xulgaths have evolved to not only withstand the intense radiation, but also to harness it in mysterious ways, making them both revered and feared among their kin. Now, this is starting to sound badass. Radioactive aura. Blightborn Xulgaths can, as a defensive mechanism, emit a low-level radioactive aura. This aura is not lethal, but can cause disorientation and weakness in those who come too close, giving the Blightborn a fearsome reputation in close combat. You see what I'm saying? Now, we're getting somewhere. Glowing scars in moments of high emotion or combat. You see these scars? Their scars glow ominously, potentially intimidating foes and bolstering the morale of allies with their otherworldly presence. That could be like an intimidation bonus. Totem forged. So if you're gonna do if she's going where I think she's going with this one, I will be freaking impressed. Okay, I'm picturing they like put the effigies on their own body. That would be sick. Totem forged are born under ominous signs and are believed to be chosen by the spirits. Their bodies bear natural totemic markings that resemble the effigies they build. Okay, kind of what I was thinking. Symbolizing a deep connection to their savage rituals and the spirits they venerate. These Xulgaths are often seen as living embodiments of their tribe's power and ferocity. Ferocity. Totemic empowerment. Drawing from the primal energy of their totemic markings, these Xulgaths can momentarily imbue themselves with the ferocity and resilience of the spirits they represent. This could manifest as a temporary increase in physical strength or endurance, particularly in battle. Kind of like a rage, it sounds like to me. Trophy conjuration. As a display of power and a reminder of their victories, Totem Forged Xulgaths can temporarily bring their totemic markings to life, creating spectral versions of the creatures or enemies. It's like what is that? The not the summoners. There's a fourth edition class. I'm thinking the shaman. I think it was. Yeah, it's good. The shaman, right? They're summoning totem spirits. Spectral forms can serve as frightening apparitions to intimidate foes or inspire allies. These heritages embody the raw, mystical, and savage essence of the Xulgath, intertwining their brutal history, supernatural resilience, and deep-rooted superstitions. Excellent work. Excellent work, Kathy, on those final two. If you have any additional crazy suggestions, wicked, how about additional wicked suggestions for other heritages, feel free to fire them out. Now that I got her warmed up, she might give me some more good stuff. Anyway, I'm going to have to wrap that there because it's been an hour of me babbling about this stuff, but you see the process, right? You take what you've got, your basic stuff, um, you feed it. This is the power of the AI, okay? Because there's no way in Hades I would have been able to come up with all the quantity of stuff that she's spitting out with a little level of detail, at least for the um the abilities, right? I mean, you just couldn't do it. Yeah, it's been an hour, but she's generated like at least a dozen or more heritages already. And at this point I could put together six ones that I really like. Like she just gave me a couple more. The bone woven, the ember eye. I mean, I don't even need to know what it says. It sounds cool as right now. So I mean, look, you got the bone woven of the ember eye. This is what I'm saying. Totem forged, the blightborn. This sounds way better than like the cave Zolgath, the chasm leaper. Huh? That's lame. I want something that's gonna like scare you. That's gonna make you wanna read more because it's so creepy, like a horror movie or horror novel. Anyway, I'm cutting it there. I've got enough here that I think I can cobble together a basic ancestry to present to the player. And then it's also a good chance for the player to actually contribute, right? They can maybe pick and choose some of the stuff that they think is cool and add their own flavor to this thing. So use your players' interest to help you flesh out this crazy kind of ideas. Okay, hopefully that was fun, that was interesting, that was enjoyable. So if you like that kind of just raw development, real-time feedback sort of stuff, seeing how you can use ChatGPT in order to create brand new ancestries that you need like tomorrow, this is how you do it. Go ahead and, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification, comment below. What do you think about some of these options, and what would you pick? Have you ever done something like this? Is there a particular ancestry you'd love to see that I could perhaps fire up next? Especially if it's one of the ones I haven't done yet. Anyway, appreciate you watching. Have yourselves a good night. I'm gonna go ahead and get myself some shut eye as I digest this information overnight. I'll catch you hopefully in another day or two with some fresh videos for you to check out. Have a good night. Peace out. Good luck.